Paranormal Evidence.
Tonight, see what truly exists inside the world of the paranormal. Join the discussion and review some of the best paranormal evidence captures from a wide variety of experienced and up-and-coming investigators. See and hear what they capture, where they captured it, and how they captured it. Right now on Entity Voices
Paranormal Evidence.
Live.
Good evening. Welcome to Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence. I'm Tony Rath.
I'm Chris Allgood.
I am Audra Keeler.
I'm Lourdes Gonzalez.
Should have said, I'm back, baby.
I'm back.
I'm Ron McAfee, and I'm not sitting by myself tonight.
Yay!
So I am the last one to fix that problem, and hopefully Cherie will be able to return here at some point shortly. But we'll see what 2022 behaves or how it behaves. Because the last week or so, the last 2 weeks, it has not. But hopefully soon. But it is a pleasure to have 80% of our team back. That is great to see. Glad everyone's feeling better. That's a big plus. But we have a great show lined up for tonight. Tonight we have Bill Helms joining us. And before I get into any of his background or history or anything like that, let me bring him on and let's let him give his background and history. So here comes Bill. Hey, Bill.
Hey, good evening. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Well,
How are you?
Wonderful.
Excellent. Well,
cold night in Catskill Mountains.
Yeah, it's real winter where you are.
Yes, it is.
Heard you're getting snow.
Yeah, about 9 inches we got today.
Wow.
Nice. Very matter of fact the way he delivers that, right? It's just like, yeah.
You
You get used to it.
You just get used to it. No, there's no way around it.
Yeah. I want to say, when Bill gets into introducing himself, I want to say I was excited to do this because I've known Bill for a long time. We met years ago through public events with other groups doing it, and then we ended up doing some stuff together. And so I've known him for a long time. He's a great investigator, and I knew he would have good stuff. So when we got the chance to have him on tonight, I thought this was going to be cool.
This is
Yeah.
awesome.
I agree.
Yeah, thanks.
That's awesome. So, Bill, why don't you, for maybe some of us here on the panel and definitely for our audience, why don't you tell us how you got involved in the paranormal, how it led you down the path you followed, and how it got you to what you're doing today?
Okay, sure. I've been actively investigating since 2010. I got into the paranormal back in the 70s when really paranormal wasn't even a word that was used. It was unexplained phenomenon. There was a show that Leonard Nimoy used to host called In Search Of. And that really got me into it. It got me intrigued. The only problem is to find anything else, you had to go to your local library. Most libraries weren't well established with books that you needed and that stuff. But the birth of the internet changed everything. Mm-hmm. It was like when that got launched and the switch was flicked on, the TV media got a hold of it and they just ran with it. And it's been out there in the forefront for years. And now people, when you talk to them about stuff that is paranormal, they don't bat an eye at it, and they don't look at you like you're some crazy lunatic. You know, it's now socially acceptable.
Right.
Understand what happens to us on the other side or in parallel time frames and stuff. And I think just my outside of the box thinking, because I was a club DJ, so besides working with electronics there, also worked with lighting and different effects. So you take that on my investigations, and people look at me like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" I use strobe lights, fog machines. I mean, it's a whole, you don't know what's going to work until you try it. And
Right.
a couple of places I've done crazy things with smoke and mirrors, has got some fun results.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
So there's nothing that's not, if you can think of it, try to bring it to the investigation and try it. Obviously the place, you have to have permission to do some crazy stuff, but it's nothing negative. It's just playing with different equipment and stuff like that, electronics.
Yeah, what you're advocating for is called experimentation, and that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Thinking outside the box.
Yep. It's perfect.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, and that's exactly what the field needs is further experimentation and trying new things and seeing what works, what doesn't. So that's fantastic to hear. You founded an actual group called CASPERS. You want to tell the audience about that?
Sure. CASPER stands for Catskill Area Society of Paranormal Education and Research. And yes, the ghost did come along with it. I grew up as a kid, and I just looked at it, and I started looking at breaking down words and stuff, and I was like, you know what? I can use this. And then, of course, I tried to use the logo from the second movie, which is public domain, but none of the companies, Vistaprint or any of those, would let me use it because they said it was copyrighted. When it was public domain, I even sent them the link and everything. So it forced me to come up with my own logo, which I was more than happy to do.
Makes sense.
Very
Makes sense.
But yeah, it's all about, with me, it's research. People ask, how do you get such great EVPs? Doing research, asking the right questions about the location, know the history of it. You can do timelines along it. If you're in a historical place, you can do, for example, did you know President George Washington or General George Washington? And then that gives you a timeline. You know when he became president, and then you know if it's before or after. It's just little tricks and stuff. Just try to do the research on it. Obviously, private investigations and private residences is a little more difficult, but the historical places and stuff like that, all the questions you need to ask is right there in history. You just got to figure out which ones to ask and when.
Oh,
So true. So
good to know.
Yeah. Bless you.
Bless you.
Yeah, that's an interesting tack to take to break down the question, because most people, I think, would probably just off the cuff think, do you know George? Do you know G-Dub? George Washington?
Yeah.
You're given classifications that would tell you maybe at what point in his career or in his life
Right.
he was, what his title was. And that's actually really cool, because that gives you a way to narrow down the focus of what you're getting at.
Yeah, trying to figure out what year, what time frame you're in, and then you can focus on all of that.
Right. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It is.
Great advice.
I mean, especially like just one place that I think, Ron, you investigate also was the Beekman Arms.
Oh, yeah.
That was a historical place. They have the registries there to prove it, who was there. And there was a lot of our founding fathers that were there.
Yeah,
And
didn't Washington have his troops do maneuvers out in the front lawn? That's in Rhinebeck, New York, right?
yeah, Rhinebeck. Yeah, actually, then it would have been General George Washington, and then it would have been president. So you would have had him at the same place with both titles.
That's a great place.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun place.
that's awesome. Such history on the East Coast.
Yep.
Such history. That's awesome. All right. So Bill has sent in some great evidence for tonight, and I think I'm going to start with the photographs. And the first one I'm going to pull up, and I don't know, before I show it, Bill, if you want to give some background as to what
Sure.
we're looking at, but the first one is Burlington.
Oh, nice.
Okay, cool. Okay.
So what are we looking at here?
This is in the basement. If you're if anybody's been there, the side of my back is to where the what's the word I'm looking for? Where the who runs the prison? I'm just drawing a blank on it.
Warden.
The warden. If you came down from the warden's side of the building down to the basement, and you're looking to it, this is a laser grid. Now, laser grid is supposed to be dots. Obviously, there's a lot of energy in there because it's manipulated it into like little crazy looking waves. But in the center of the photo, there's a walkway, a hallway that goes from the inside of the building out to the courtyard. At this point, there was only 8 of us in the building. I was the only one in the basement. We were using walkie-talkies so that we would not get any kind of cross-contamination. If you zoom in at the center where the doorway is, you'll see the window on the left, and then there's a doorway opening. I think you can make out the exit sign above it. In the center there's a big, more of a white energy line. If you zoom in on that,
I can't. These have been preloaded to stream.
Oh, okay. Well, it's shoot. I should have cropped it. I didn't even think about that. There's like, you can see like a blue line on it. If you could zoom in on it, it's an actual guard with where they had the jackets with the shoulder straps on it, the shoulder boards. Is actually a shadow of one of the guards that used to work there.
You can see it in the view that we have, even without zooming in, but it's behind the red squiggly line.
Yes, you can see, a little bit of the blue coming down. Where's the shoulder?
Correct.
The shoulder coming down.
It almost looks like there's 2 figures in there. It looks like there's someone to the left of that guard too.
That could be. I zoomed in on that thing all over. The only thing I saw was that, but from a distance, it could.
Yeah.
But that was pretty good when I got that, because with the laser grid, you're looking through the camera and it looked fine. I mean, not through the camera, just looking at it overall. And then when I took the photo, when I take pictures, the camera I use is a Nikon D60 SLR, so it's a regular full digital SLR. So there's no lag delay from when it focuses to when it snaps the picture. It snaps the picture when you hit the button.
Yeah, and there's some really good details about that picture too. When Tony gets it pulled back up, if you look, so the laser grid looks like it's moving, and the red light where the guard is standing looks like it's in motion. And a lot of people would say it was camera movement, but if you look at the floor in front of the doorway, it's completely clear. Let's see if Tony. There you go.
Tony finds a way.
Tony finds a way. So if everybody watching, if you look at the floor, the shadow and everything from the doorway
is right there.
It's clear. The floor is clear. So the energy modulation from the laser grid is completely separate from. That's not motion of the camera, because the floor would be blurred too.
Right.
And the figure would be blurred.
And it's not at all.
Not.
And you can see how that one piece of energy is much brighter than the rest of them. And it's totally distorted differently.
Right.
The other ones are all.
That's not a portion of the laser grid either, because it's a red light, not a green.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that really is cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is cool.
But doesn't that almost looks like another figure standing there to the left a little bit, maybe?
It's possible. I can, I'll retake a look at it.
Can you push it up a little bit, Tony, towards the top? Other way.
The other, yeah.
Yeah, to reveal the top.
There you go.
But you can see the outline of a shoulder and a.
Yeah, you can see.
Yeah, you can.
Right above the arc on the red, you can see a head and a shoulder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
I couldn't really see it. I mean, you could blow it up on the Nikon screen on the back, but you really couldn't. But as soon as I got home at like 4:00 in the morning, I just couldn't wait. I popped it in the computer and then literally woke up the house.
Yeah, but the most intriguing part of that photo is that the floor is not blurred at all.
No.
So the laser grid almost has its own energy to it, and then whatever that red, that's interesting.
That disturbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris is right.
It's very interesting, because if that was camera movement, that reflection from the red light on the floor would also be blurred.
It would be blurred, yeah.
Motion, and
Yeah,
it's
sure.
not.
Well, you can distinctly see the line, like where the baseboard is, where the floor meets the wall.
Mhm.
You distinctively see that line. That line's not blurred at all either. It's a perfect line coming down the wall where the floor meets.
Right.
So yeah, that's really interesting. And then the corner of the wall over here to this side of the picture. Yeah, right there. That would be blurred also, and it's not. It's a perfect 90.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's right.
Very cool.
Very cool.
It's awesome.
That's an attention to detail capture. That's something that if you don't actually take the time to look at the evidence, you're looking for the clown from It to be jumping out of the photo at you. Then you're gonna miss something like that. But if you actually take the time to look at the nuances, and he obviously knows his way around his camera, then you see that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and what Ron's saying is a perfect example. If you look at the screen right now and you look at that photo, that red light, if you're just going through your evidence and you're just looking really quick, that could also be confused as the exit sign.
Yeah.
So for Bill to catch that, that's phenomenal. That's experience right there when it comes to reviewing evidence.
Absolutely.
I agree. All right, I'm going to pull up the next one, which is, let's see.
If you do the cemetery ones, we got to do them one right after another.
Yeah, I'll do those next. We have one more in between. I was just notified that, Bill, your mic might be running a little hot. So if you just want to hit your cam mic and just pull that thing down just a little bit.
Sure. We can do that.
All right. And I will pull up the next photo.
Tracy Austin, you're phenomenal, Tracy Austin. Thanks for saying that.
I know.
So true.
Katie Holte was watching too. Hello to Katie Holte and to everybody watching.
Now,
look at that.
This is Gettysburg.
Oh.
This is the Farnsworth house in the basement, what they call the
familiar. Okay.
viewing room. This one I actually had.
Wow.
I had Mike when I was in Gettysburg. Mike Williams was still investigating, and he had IMSA, the International Museum of Science, and I forget what it was. He's now out of the paranormal field. I showed it to him, and he was blown away. I have no idea. Somebody said that, with the lights all distorted like that, you move the camera up and down, and I was like, okay, then why is funeral director crystal clear? The chairs are crystal clear.
The mortar and the brick in the wall.
Everything's crystal clear. I mean, in the center of it, up above the L, where it's really, really bright, it's just a ceramic cat standing there.
Interesting.
It was just weird how everything just came out of there, brighter than anything.
So that's not a light bulb of any kind back there where that bright spot is.
No, nothing's plugged in.
See,
that's interesting.
And from a mechanical equipment standpoint too, because I'm sure you know the camera better than anybody. What we've been saying, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. It's a physical impossibility for some of it to be blurred and some of it not to be blurred if it was movement on the part of the user. It's an all or nothing thing, right? You'd have to have excessive blur or none.
Well, anything with lighted, and those chairs are reflecting light.
Yep.
So it's called motion blur, and basically it's where the shutter doesn't react fast enough to the movement of the camera. But in this case, like the D and the director is lit, the I, the R, you would see that motion blur in the photo, and you don't. The letters are crystal clear. The chairs are reflecting light as well. They are crystal clear. None of that motion shown in that orange light is visible.
Now, when I took this picture, I hit the shutter, and the shutter opened and would not close. The shutter stayed open for 23 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
They had to shut it off because this energy, I call it a full-bodied apparition.
Right there. Yeah.
You could see where the hip is, the bend in the hip.
Yeah.
You can see the head up top, and then you can see the lines that where it goes straight down behind his head at an angle.
Yeah.
First, I thought it was because the basement was used as a makeshift hospital back during the war. So I thought it was possibly a soldier. Back in the uniforms back in the day, when you had the jackets on, they had like a 2-foot poncho on top of it, like a cape that was built into it that hung over the shoulders.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought that line was. Then 2 years later, I heard a story that there's a nurse in the building that will touch people, let them know you're okay. The nurses' uniforms were also where they had the cape built into the top of the jackets. So even though it's white and it's a nurse's uniforms are white, could it be either way? Yeah. Which one would I believe? The nurse makes more sense to me because it was a makeshift hospital and the nurse is still present there. The soldiers could be also. But when I heard that story about the nurse, I'm like, okay, it's possible.
I just relates to the story.
Like wrap around.
But I had her literally shut the camera off and everything is just, it's so clear. 23 seconds, it wouldn't let go. And I'm holding this camera dead still. And finally, I just had to say, I had enough. I'm shutting it off.
So, Tony, zoom in on the seat of the chairs again, because you take away all the other details. The seat of the chair, right there. Zoom in. Now go down a little bit. Look at the seat of the chair. You can actually see a reflection from a light off to the right. You can see the shadow from the chair in front of it. So, I mean, even talking to Tony about, Tony talking about, movement of the lens, this also eliminates like a lens flare, because a lens flare would also block out some of the details in the chairs and the light reflecting. I mean, you can see shadows off the chairs from the other chairs. I mean, there's too much detail in the chairs and the wall and the picture to say this is anything but paranormal.
I mean, it's definitely not typical motion movement. I mean, because that blur would be consistent. So that's very strange to me. The fact that he said the shutter stayed open for 21 seconds, that would, in my mind, indicate the movement of the light, but it should be consistent
with everything,
with every other light in there, and it's not.
Not to mention the fact that thing over the L in the background is not a light. It's not a light or a light bulb.
It's
so
just
something.
It's
a cat.
Just a ceramic cat. Yeah.
No, and if that ceramic cat was reflecting the flash, then everything else would be too. You'd get a reflection off the shiny chairs. You get a reflection off that. I mean, what is that tinfoil off to the side on that window right there?
Yeah.
Well, how could the brightest reflection of the flash be something at the farthest end of the room?
Right.
Let me let you.
The flash reflecting, even if it was the flash reflecting, it would reflect off that entire rectangle of tinfoil. It wouldn't reflect off of one spot.
Okay, let me tell you something. I had the flash off.
Really?
Yes, this flash was off.
It wasn't even on.
No.
Well, I am not going to get into ceramics anytime soon because that's frightening.
Anyone else see what looks like a hand here?
Yeah, that's what Roger's saying.
I do now. I do now. Thanks, Tony. I won't sleep. Thank you.
Oh yeah, like 3 fingers and a thumb off to the bottom.
Yeah.
Right where the mouse is.
Figure.
Go back to the figure. What are you saying?
You can
So
even
this
see the
looks
shape
like
of the cat.
women's hands doing this.
Yeah.
Up her like a bust in a dress and her walking. Do you see, like, if she had a dress on, she would be like taking a step flick.
Right.
So
what Audra's seeing is up at the top where you think it's a neck for the head. She's seeing that as a waistline, and this is like a dress from a nurse.
Oh, okay.
I could see that. I could see
that.
But if you look, it's almost like she's like, let me do it this way, kind of like this. You can see her fingers.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Like she's rushing, like anticipating or anxious, and she's kind of got her hands and she's like rushing somewhere.
I didn't think of that, but yeah,
Good
sure.
observation.
That's
Wow.
That's a good observation.
This was, and this picture was totally. If I didn't go to a horror convention in 2012 and had time to kill one day and decided that I couldn't take a ghost tour, that the only thing I had was to spare was like 45 minutes. This fit the 45 minutes, and I would have never went there.
Wow.
If I didn't go into town until some time. Yeah. Right place, right time.
Yeah.
Great.
And the flash being off is kind of what was
That's cool.
that added an element to it to me.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
did.
realize the flash was off.
I always like a set of fresh eyes on stuff because you see it from a different perspective.
Yeah, in this photo. Oh wait, wrong one. I'm just kidding. It's an illusion of water.
All right. Let's run through the cemetery photos. So here's the first one.
Okay. There's three in consecutive order for one reason. Whenever I do photos, I always do them in three groups of three. You can interpret it all different ways: before, during, and after. You know, you can go religious and do the three that way. You know, you can interpret it, but I think 3 is a very lucky number in a lot of Asian cultures and stuff outside of, organized religions. So this was the first one that I took. And then that's when I saw the orb just pop into the screen. I took another one, the next one, and it just was there. And I saw this with my eyes. Then I got the camera right up because we took the picture and then we went down. And then the next one is when the orb was taken off.
Whoa.
Whatever it was, I was like, probably dropped the F-bomb or a holy shit. And the energy just heard me and just took off. But it was wild. It actually was.
Goodness.
Wow.
This is Cedar Ridge Cemetery in Blairstown, New Jersey.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I'll give you the backdrop on this cemetery. There's an open case that's been involved for a while. There was one winter, after one winter, the spring thaw, they went to get clean up the branches and everything, and they found a partially decomposed body of a young woman.
In New Jersey?
They called her Princess Doe. So you can go to princessdoe.org. The case is still active. They still don't know who she is or who killed her, but the town raised money and bought her a headstone and gave her a proper burial.
Wow.
That's so cool.
She's in the corner of the cemetery.
Wow.
There's another group that I first started with down in that part of Jersey. And every time we go in there, because it's a cemetery after dark, you're not allowed. We have permission from the police department. And if we get any information, we turn it over to them. So we've turned over some names that we've gotten on the spirit box and that. And the only thing they know is that the two things that they come up with, they know it's a male, and they're pretty positive that she knew who he was. And they want to say Long Island for some reason. I don't know why. They have their reasons and stuff, but that's the only stuff we've been able to. But people can go to princessdoe.org, and the whole case is there. And they welcome paranormal investigations to help them solve this case.
Nice.
You might get a first name and then get a last name.
Right.
You just never know, and then they'll know where to go. And we turned everything over to them that we get. More than happy.
Very cool.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. A parting gift for the audience.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just trying to help. You try to help out where you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
That's
Take the
excellent.
field and turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
Which is always good.
That's one of the altruistic sides of what we do. So that's cool that you brought that.
Yeah.
People don't know that, we do things for the good. And most people don't think we do,
Yep. Agreed.
because of the TV shows are all about negative, because that's what sells TV.
Right.
So for those of you watching, it sure as hell isn't for the money.
Yeah. Ceramic cats aren't cheap.
Yeah, right. Especially glowing ones.
Especially when it says Gettysburg on the bottom of it.
No doubt. I know it's a tourist trap as well. Well, that's really cool.
That was cool.
That one I put in for that reason, because I did want to talk about that one, because that one was I was one of my first early investigations. So that's your first ones, I think, are the ones that leave the most impression on you over time. I mean, I've done bigger places than that and had a lot more enjoyment, but I think it's the smaller ones like that where something's still open, and you always want to go back and see if maybe I can solve this case once and for all.
Yeah. That would get addicting trying to do that.
Yeah.
And I've been back 3 times.
Yeah, I would imagine.
That's
All right. I am going to play a video next, and I'm going to let Bill give us an intro to this. This one's called Burlington Baby.
Oh, awesome. Okay, this is Burlington County Prison Museum. We were up on the top floor, which is the second floor, which is where solitary confinement is, not in the basement. It's on the top floor. And there's a big giant ring in the middle of the floor with a chain, which they were chained to. We were walking from the opposite side of the warden upstairs to the warden side. And you can hear, we're having our conversations and everything, and we never heard it until we played it back. And since it was a debtor's prison, there was visiting days were on Sundays. So you had people in there that were in there for debt and that, and it could have been a visiting family, and the baby just didn't want to leave dad. That was in there.
Interesting.
Who was the famous prisoner who was he went on to be a serial killer up in Massachusetts, who was there for a short stay?
Oh, I forget. There was one. Now I do remember that part. I do remember.
I don't remember.
I can't remember. We were there one time. I'll come up with it, but yeah, it was interesting. A lot of people probably don't know he did time there. He was out of the military, and he did time for something, and then he was there for a period, and then he went up to the Northeast further up, and then he became a well-known serial killer, and then he got put away.
All right, here's that clip.
Yep.
Wow.
Let me be the first to say, holy shit.
Yeah,
that was clear. That was clear as a bell. You couldn't not miss that.
Yeah.
No. It just out of nowhere. That was on the. You can hear us coming up the steps. That was I had a static camera set into the solitary, since that was the more active, one of the more active places upstairs. The other was the women's prison side.
That was great.
It was crazy. It was just.
Yeah, it was pretty loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely woke me up when I heard that, when I played that one back.
I bet. All right, so the next one I have is called Production 1.
Oh, save that one for last. That's like the best thing of everything, if you can.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Don't let me forget, though, because by the time I get to the bottom, I'll forget. All right, so I'm going to play next then Burlington Radio.
Okay, Burlington County Prison Museum up on the same top floor. Shortly after the baby cried, all of a sudden the walkie-talkie started going off, and mine was going nuts. And you can hear Dave that was doing the investigation with these were his radios. I knew nothing about him. He just set us all on the same channel and so we can talk to each other with the different floors and stuff, so that we can conduct our our experiments without cross-contamination and that. And you'll hear mine go crazy, and then he tells you what happened with the cameras. I'm not gonna say anything, because you can hear his reaction and what he says, and it's pretty wild. But listen to when it does change. There's a whole conversation going on also over mine.
All right, here's that clip.
Okay. Is that all right? Yes, I got it. Sorry about that. Damn. You're getting it on yours? I thought I could tell when someone was pushing it, but it's not coming through on it. I think that was just the options and everything. Are you still on channel 3? Oh, you're on channel 16. Wait. Wow. I never touched this thing. That changed to channel 16, sub-channel 22. You know how much work that is to do that? That is not easy. I couldn't even figure out. Are you still filming? Yeah, waiting. Okay. Whoa, look at that. Look at that. Oh, maybe, is it on the low scan? No, it's not. Yeah, it is. It's on monitor. Okay, but it's still going to do sub-channel. Monitor would make it go through channel 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 22 and stuff like that. But there's sub-channels below each one, and it wouldn't make a sub-channel go. It doesn't scan through sub-channel.
You just search it yourself.
So something actually did that.
That's cool. Wow. Hey. Yeah, maybe someone's talking to you.
Well, documented, I had a problem with the walkie-talkie scanning through channels, and we didn't do it. That was weird.
Yeah, he didn't know.
Wow.
No.
So I didn't know it was on monitor because he set it up. But the whole thing is about going down 22 sub channels. So it went from whatever stat channel we were on to 16, and then went 16 and went 22 sub channels down.
Oh,
Wow.
And this thing was just on my waist. Huh. And the conversation you can hear it was like there was a police call, or somebody was using it to talk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was one of those. They have these like realistic looking like statues or not mannequins, but they're
It's a plaster replica of a full size person chained.
Yeah.
Right.
To give you the idea, so you didn't have to visualize seeing what solitary could be like. Here was full scale of what it was like to be in.
Oh, I thought that was somebody in your group just sitting there chilling.
No.
That's a ceramic replicant.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
There's another one. There's another one down in one of the other cells. We actually put a deck of cards out and taped some cards to his hand to see if we get a response with that.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool. Put a cigarette in his fingers.
And then we taped it. And then we taped an ace like where his sleeve would be to see if we can get any responses. But
that's
nothing
awesome.
there.
I only knew that because we had been there once, or I wouldn't have known that either. Because I remember when I saw them, I was like, "Wow, that's really cool that they did that."
Yeah.
If you don't get there in the daytime and do a walkthrough then, and you walk in there at night when you have no inclination of what's going on, and you see that, I can imagine people screaming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, I seriously thought it was one of your group just tired.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought it was one of their group too. I wasn't sure what we were looking at, but that makes sense now.
They have the actual gallows still set up in the back.
Yes, they sure do.
In the yard of the prison, and the name that I was looking for before is Albert DeSalvo. And if you don't recognize that, because I didn't when I first heard it either, he was most famously known as the Boston Strangler.
But he
spent time in Burlington, New Jersey prison before that.
Wow.
Yeah, somebody chimed in. I saw that pop up on the chat. Boston.
Okay. Oh, Anthony Seminella. Yeah, of course he would know. He's the one who brought us over there. Who knew a guy? Who knew that guy?
Knew a guy that knew the guy.
That's awesome though, and thank you, Anthony, for giving that information. Appreciate it. All right, the next clip I have is called Penhurst Girls Room.
Okay, this is in the Mayflower building, which is up on the second floor. There's a little girl in there. They have toys laid out all over the place. As we're walking up, I didn't cut this down. I let it play from when we were up on the floor because you can hear the toy going off before we even got into the room. And then on command, the toy played again.
Huh?
There's no battery in it.
Oh, wow.
No batteries.
No batteries in it. So
right,
you can hear it's the same voice as we start to something about you want to hop over the rope, and I said no, I'm not falling today. And then you can hear it right before that. And then when we enter the room, I asked, can you do it again? And on cue, boom. And of course I got it on camera. There might be a few F-bombs in there after that. Just from
all right, here's that clip.
All right, now we're on the second floor. Is this room signed? No, we're still down one floor yet.
So remember you said the first and the second mirror?
What I heard, there was one room with all toys in it. Oh,
I think
Chris.
that's the first
I
floor.
picked the wrong side with the line.
So you can't see the corner?
No, I'm not shaking that shit.
Where? No, it didn't. This toy's going off on me.
Where?
Right here. Can you please make the toy go off again? Please play with it.
I thought I heard it from out in the hall.
Record it, Jay. Can you?
Oh God, I got it on camera too.
Awesome. Can you please turn it back on?
Hold on. Oh, I stepped on something. Candies.
Yeah, candy. I got that on camera.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
That was creepy.
Well, let's see if we can get her to do it with the K2 there.
Oh, that's your. Okay.
Yes.
I'm just gonna turn mine on.
Can you please turn the game back on?
Wow, that was cool.
That was pretty cool, wasn't it? You can hear as soon as you start entering the room, you can hear the thing going off partial. And then when we got in there, you ask him to do it again, and like right on cue.
Wow. And it had no batteries in it?
No, the whole thing was all rusted inside.
Oh,
it was
wow.
it was there for a long time.
It had no batteries in it.
No batteries in it. No, the contacts weren't even there.
So this isn't something you brought in. This is something that's always there.
This was something that somebody that they had left there. Yeah.
Wow.
I have one follow-up. Goes paranormal.
Yeah, I have one follow-up question. There were no batteries in there?
No. No batteries.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's what's even more insane about that is if it's something that's constantly in the building, that's something that the spirits are familiar with, and it's like it's a tool they use to communicate. That's phenomenal.
And it could be two things. I don't know if it was given to the girl, if it was hers and they found it there, or did somebody bring it from the outside and just left it there? So you don't know if there's a spirit attached to it or the little girl's attached to it. You don't know.
True, but either way, the fact that it wasn't something that was just brought in that night takes
there was
away
no
possibilities of that. It was even possibly holding some residual energy or anything. I mean, if it's been there months or years, none of that would have been possible for it to activate after being there that long. Puts all new light on it.
With no batteries.
Yeah, that's worth repeating. With no batteries.
Yeah.
Look how much we could save in batteries if we got really good at this spirit communication stuff.
They're just using whatever they can. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've said this before. Just recently, our friend Austin Maynard put a video up in an ITC group last night. He was building a ghost box. The sweep circuit was not even connected to the board, and he turned the radio on, which had 2 AA's powering just the radio, and it started sweeping. And there were vocals that came through the sweeping ghost box, but the sweep circuit not powered up or connected. And one of I played one of the vocals that said, "There, we did it."
Yep.
And so I'm thinking, like I was telling Tony, is that we, with our bodies, our environment, the batteries, even those 2 AA's, our waste heat in the environment alone is enough to power a circuit. It takes a very minute amount of power to power a circuit. So that what you have there, to me, is an example of manipulation of energy, because it powered something that had the conductivity wired into it, but it did not have a source. They provided
didn't have a source of power, and that was the same thing with Austin. He had one wire hooked from the battery to the circuit, but the other wire wasn't even connected to the battery holder. But there were no batteries in it, so the sweep circuit should not have been able to function. But yet, it was scanned.
What? Yeah, I know. I will. I'm doing something right now. I'm on.
That evidence even freaked Bill out.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And you know what's funny to me is that this, and I'll send it to you guys if you guys want to see it. I'm not going to publicly post it because it's Austin's thing. I don't know what he wants to do with it, but it's just funny that the night after we just had this discussion where this ghost box swept without a sweep circuit that was powered or connected, and now you've got a toy that's functioning electronically, making audible sounds that does not have a power source connected to it at all.
Right.
Well, and the best part about that is people could say, sometimes energy retains itself when it has a connection, even if the battery's dead. But this thing's been in there so long without a battery, there's no way there's any energy left in that toy at all.
Right. And SOC, state of charge. Right. There's no SOC on that anymore. That's been sitting too long.
Yep. Right. That was awesome.
That's
That was
fantastic,
pretty cool.
Bill. That's
It was-
fantastic.
It was pretty impressive. And so everybody wants to run over to the Devon building. Go ahead. I'm staying in the Mayflower. There's too much stuff going on there for me.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Very cool. All right, the next one I'm going to play is called Rolling Hills Ball.
Okay, this is, as you can see, I'm wearing the hat. It's out of all the places I've been to, it's the one place I enjoy going back. The owner is great. The whole place is just, I'm never disappointed. I'm always getting some crazy stuff there. If you really want to do some crazy stuff, go lay on the morgue table in the basement. It's quite the, it's definitely got a lot of energy in it. This is in Shadow Hall, which is the famous clip of if you're in the hallway up all the way in the back with the solarium with your back to it, looking to the center, there's a light up hallway where there's a famous shadow of a person going down the steps. I'm with a couple from Minnesota. There was 13 people in the whole place. By the time we got up in the shadow hallway, the family of 6 was there just to scare each other to death. So they ran one building. They heard something really for real, and they bolted out of there. And then there was a cop and a nurse from Buffalo, which they had left because I had found out from Sharon, who was still in the building after this in case somebody decided to play with us. And they weren't. We were the only ones in the building at the time, so it was only down to 3 of us. Oh. And with her security, once you leave the building, you can't come back in unless you have booked the whole place for yourself. Then they'll let you go in into the bathroom and then back in. Otherwise, if you leave, you're not coming back in. So it was just the 3 of us in there. And these people decided on Halloween that they wanted to go, see a haunted location and not an attraction, a real place. So of course Sharon says in the room and stuff before we get the lecture and the lowdown on everything, she says, if you don't know what to do, just follow the person with all the equipment. And I looked and said, thanks, Sharon. So they said, do you mind if we tag with you? And I says, no, I was there by myself anyway. And I was looking to find somebody because you're in the basement stuff. There's, you slip and fall. You're on your own. But if you have somebody, at least it's that. All of a sudden, the ball you can hear the ball bouncing, and it's coming rolling, and you can actually see where the ball comes into view. And it was from the shadow, from where the shadow hallway, from where that one entity was walking down the steps.
Wow.
Awesome. All right, here's that clip.
Yeah, mine is really hit or miss too. It just went off, and then mine won't let me take a picture of this door. Whereas the other ones have. Well, I'm glad yours did. Mine didn't. Mine's like. What the hell? Millen. Look at that ball.
Yeah, no.
Millen?
Yeah?
Look at that ball.
Yeah.
Where did it come from, though?
All the way down the hallway. I actually heard it.
I did too. And then I saw it roll a circle right here.
Yeah. And hopefully the camera got it. I got a cold chill about 10 seconds before that thing happened. Back here.
Well, are we sure that there's nobody in that room?
Those filter it up. Hey, Lizzie Gordon, overnighter person, are you down there?
Wow.
And you can hear that as the ball stopped, and then you heard somebody's millimeter went off.
Yeah.
At the beginning of that video, if you stare down at the end of the hallway, maybe it's just me. You can it almost looked like something was moving down at the end.
Possibly it's the famous hallway there.
Yeah.
That and you have Roy. Those are the 2 big things that they have there.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty great. And then, of course, I got the camera set up, so I'm stuck there, and everybody else starts going. I'm like, okay. And then
now we know why the other people left.
Yeah.
Either that, or you know what? After that, I didn't really see much anybody anymore. They probably just continued going out the front door. It was
that
pretty
was a great capture, though. That was really good.
Because they
Like I
had
said,
there's
you
kid,
hear
there's
that
kids
ball
in there and
bounce,
everything.
and then it
and then you
literally rolls down the hall towards you. So that was very cool.
The return of John Q. Public. Let me say that John Q. Public is back.
I did see him in.
He did say Red Rum.
Red Rum.
Yeah. He's awesome. He lives right next door to us. We haven't seen him in a while, but Red Rum is appropriate. That's really cool that you heard the ball. You knew it wasn't there, and then all of a sudden, what you heard was visible. Wonder if ghosts fart. That's
Yeah, those are those phantom smells.
Yeah, that's why you don't wear perfume.
You get right. They fart perfume.
Yeah.
That just adds to the silent but deadly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
really
the
cool.
next one I'm going to play is an EVP. Now, I converted it to video just because StreamYard won't.
Which one is it?
MP3. So I put up a nice picture of Bill to add to the video. But
which one? What was
this
this?
one I had to cut down because you sent me 18 minutes of audio. So I hope I pulled
Which one
out.
was it?
It's called Light Club.
Oh, I didn't edit it out. Yeah.
So hopefully I pulled what you were hoping to show on it. I think it's about 2 or 3 minutes now, but I couldn't play an 18-minute audio. So
I didn't realize it was. I got the whole thing in there.
That's okay.
Hey, but the good news is with Tony's ear, if it's not the clip you intended,
There's a good clip coming.
there's a good clip coming.
Okay, that's fine. I'm open.
I would agree with that.
Well, thank you. But hopefully I captured what I think I did. But anyway, here is that clip.
Oh. Okay. Well, something is going on back here because I'm 0.0 and it was 74 degrees. It is now 99.9. Now it's 100 degrees.
Right, and I just said give me a sign if it wants me to, right?
Yeah.
Can you give me another sign? Are you going to lead me through the tunnel? Should I follow you?
61.3. Temperature just went from 100. Oh, hello.
Okay, thank you.
Here, you stand here. I'm going to go get my camera.
Okay.
Because this I want to get.
Oh,
Because
okay.
this thing is going nuts.
Oh.
Is that you?
No, that's that.
Oh, let me get my camera.
Okay.
Get this.
So, can I trust you? Can I feel safe with you to guide me? I do.
Let me slide in here. I want to get this thing. This thing's going crazy.
Yeah. So, like I asked, can I trust you? Yeah, it's reacting. That's good.
Yeah, I'm going to get over here.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I feel comfortable enough that I can trust you. So can you lead me to safety? I need you to give me a sign. That's how we can communicate.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you're able to lead me to safety? Okay, thank you.
100 and it went from 58 to 102 in one shot. Voices upstairs. Tom. 115.7. Can you move one of the rocks back there for me? 108.7.
Can we do that tap thing back here? See if it taps
Yeah.
back?
Find something to tap on. I can't see. Over here. Here you go.
You got it?
Ready? Can you finish this for me? Whoa! That was awesome.
Oh my God, that was great.
And the temperature dropped to 28.4.
Oh my God.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.
That was
13.3 milligal blast.
You guys heard that, right? That was great. Oh.
Wow, that was awesome.
So let me point something out real
Before
quick.
anyone says anything, I just need to let our audience know that KGRA will be flipping over to their next scheduled program. If you want to continue finishing up the few clips that we have left, either switch over to the Facebook, the YouTube, either on Entity Voices, KGRA, because we do have a few more things we're going to go through yet tonight. But if not, thank you for listening. We always appreciate our audience. And with that being said, we're going to continue on. So that was really cool, Bill, especially the shave and the hair at the end.
That was excellent.
Let me give you a little background on the place. The house is in Sugarloaf, New York. It's a business. The basement was part of the Underground Railroad.
Oh, wow.
That's why Maria was asking, can you lead me to safety?
I know where that was.
Like at Melissa's place, of curiosity. Yeah. And I've always done shave and a haircut. And yeah, I've gotten always knocks back, but I've never had them grab the antenna twice to answer it that way.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's good.
And the both times she asked about leading to safety or to freedom or something, I heard the EVPs that said yes.
And the shave and a haircut was written in 1890. So the spirit that was involved, that answered me, was from 1890 on.
Wow. That's fantastic.
But you know what? The other really cool part about it was that not only did the K2 meter or whatever, millimeter, whatever you were using beep twice, but it did it in the exact tempo it was supposed to. That was really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
And the temperature was going crazy, and when I got that's when the temperature dropped to like 28 degrees, and it was like baseline was like 70 something in the basement. But then when I got that 13.3 milligauss blast, it was like 0, bang, 13, right back to 0.
Huh. That's fantastic. So I just want to point a couple things out. When you can get our audience to say stuff like this, especially Tracy Austin, that's fantastic evidence. And that picture is a prime example of why when Tony wants a new picture for our profile, we make sure we pick our own shit.
Oh, he's like, I saw that photo. I'm like, I got to use that. That's awesome.
I thought it was great.
That was Halloween Gettysburg last year.
I thought so. I said that's a great Halloween picture.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. The key thing with what Tony said, like the cadence of the song and the timing of it was perfect. Exactly the way it was supposed to be. And you had corroborated evidence where you had the milligauss reading that fluctuated at the same time that you got the two beats to finish the song.
Yep.
And the intelligence that's embedded in that moment, the imbued intelligence to me is what's the most outstanding part of it. Because you can assert the possibility, right, that it's after a certain year because when the song came out.
Correct.
But even if you look at the point of if it's a collective consciousness in the afterlife and if it's all knowing, like maybe you could be from a different time and still know that, the fact that you got that in the timing that you did, the way that it was, how Tony said that it was perfectly on point with the song, that's an intelligence. If you get that by accident, you need to be buying lottery tickets every day.
Right.
Well, let's point out the skill of Bill and his investigation techniques. He's calling out temperature. He's calling out the level of milligauss that it's producing at the same time that he's capturing the evidence, and then he's getting the rhythm of the shave and a haircut. I mean, just the categorization of the evidence that you're capturing as you're doing it on the recording was fantastic. I mean, that's a learning for anybody that's watching that's new to investigating. That was a perfect example of perfect investigating right there. Is calling out all that evidence all at the same time.
I was like doing a play-by-play.
Yeah, that was fantastic, and it was done
well said, Chris. Yeah, well said. I agree with that. Textbook. That was really good.
It was. All right, the next EVP I'm going to play is called Rhonda.
Okay, this was my girlfriend at the time. This is at Fort Mifflin, and it was in the torpedo room, which it if anybody's ever been there, you have to walk in. It's like walking into a dark room. So you're walking straight up this way, and then you're in. So you have the sound baffling like you would light for a dark room. So they can call in the shots of when to drop it in the water and shoot it out to the Delaware. While we were walking in there with my other two investigators, they asked me, would Rhonda ever do this? And I says, no, Rhonda's not camping at Fort Mifflin. It's just not her cup of tea, roughing it and stuff like that. So when we got in there, the one thing I always do, because sometimes when you walk in, you disturb energy or something that's going on. So there's like 4 posts covering the hole where the torpedo would have been dropped into and framed out. I always turn on the digital recorder, set it down, and then proceed to set up equipment, because you don't know if when you're setting up equipment, if you're going to disturb something. So 16 seconds in, you can hear us setting our equipment up. We don't hear this, and you hear it raspy but crystal clear. I'll leave it like that.
All right. Here is that clip.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's clear as day. And we just kept continuing setting our equipment up, and I didn't find out until the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reaction to that at all. Yeah.
And then the one thing is, you don't want to play that at 10 o'clock for your girlfriend, because you guys not getting sleep well.
Yeah. Not getting lucky that night.
So they were listening to our conversation as we were walking in. So they were observant to us as we were observant to them.
Yep.
Right.
That happens a lot.
Because again, there's if you say it's anything other than an EVP, and then it happened to say Rhonda at the time you were coming in and we're just talking about it.
Exactly.
Through a broadcast, some stray radio, dry joint problem, whatever. Alone is astronomical. But the fact that you didn't hear it or react to it, that it was an EVP with that kind of clarity, that just compounds the authenticity and how amazing that is.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was pretty. I mean, because we didn't hear anything because we were just still setting up the equipment.
Right.
Mhm. It was pretty darn
That's
clear.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with what you were saying about it when you're setting up equipment to start the recorders. My wife does that same thing all the time. She is recording constantly. It doesn't matter what we're doing. And a lot of the interaction and the EVPs we get are when we're in the middle of a conversation about something not to do with investigating at all, but they'll jump in, they'll make comments, they'll make side comments. That's just the way it works. So very cool to see you do that.
Yeah. For sure.
I've always done it, because ever since somebody told me, when you go into a room, you could disturb it. And if you look at a lot of the places that do renovations and stuff, that's what gave me the idea, because you're disturbing the norm of what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so that brings us back to a video called Production 1.
Okay. This, if you're going to look in the center, I'm going to tell you what it is, and then you can see it, because it'll be obvious, but I want you to focus in on one area. This is Burnbrae Mansion, which I was back there in 2014. An opportunity to go back again, and when I did, I wanted to go up to the attic because there was some stuff that went on with the disturbance of the laser grid, and I wanted to see if they remembered me, because it was very active, and it has to do with, believe it or not, shaving a haircut again.
All right.
You'll see in the center of the screen, you're going to see a full-bodied shadow move in, see what we're doing. You might hear the response, and then after you hear the knocker, you'll hear Maria say, "Oh, did you hear that?" Then you'll see the apparition move back the other way.
Ooh.
It was pretty. Right. It was pretty wild.
Here it is.
Did you hear
Can you finish this for me?
What's that? Was that enough?
Was it?
After
You
you
finished?
bag the stomach.
Yeah.
I heard it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did the knock before that and then I did it again because we didn't hear anything. Maria did this time, and you can hear the knock, and then you see the shadow move.
Yeah, you see the shadow.
Let me play that one
Yeah,
more
play it
time.
again.
It's
Now you know what you're looking
real
for.
long. Let me play that again.
That's okay. I'll tag it.
Did you hear
Can you finish this for me? What's
Yeah. Was that enough?
Was it?
After you bag the stomach.
Yeah.
Twice. It
You'll you hear the two taps, then you hear Maria say something, and as soon as she says that, then you can see the shadow move back.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to go back up there because I had some stuff. And unfortunately, I didn't get that on my camera because I was standing in the same spot. But next time I go up there, I'm going to move a little more to the right where this person happened to get it for me.
Is that place it's on right by the border of New York State and New Jersey, right?
It's Glen Spey, New York, down behind the Forestburg Playhouse.
Okay. How far is that from northern Jersey?
If you come up, you can come back up into Port Jervis and then go that way.
Okay. It's not too far though.
No, not too far at all. Port Jervis is right on the border.
Okay.
You can
That's
get
what I
Jersey
thought.
or Pennsylvania.
I've heard of the place.
Yeah, it's an awesome building. The owner is Mike, who has got a lot of history to the U.S. He trained a lot of our gold medalist cyclists in the '80s, and he's got it's so much fun hanging out with him and hearing all the stories about the training with the Olympics and stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a cool place. It really is.
No, let us know when you go back. We'll cast.
I'm going to go
up there.
back up to the attic. Well, the ghost hunters also found that hidden room, which it was the hidden room in that. And I actually slept. I slept in that room, in the one bed away from that.
Okay.
I remember.
Wow. That's awesome.
And on my CASPER Facebook page, with the videos, there should be a video of the. I did a walkthrough with the camera and stuff, so people can see the room, because you can't see it because they're so wide angled in the TV show, where it's just on a regular camera. It's much easier to see.
Right.
Yeah, I slept in there, and I slept fine.
That's really cool. So for anyone in our audience that wants to see more of the stuff that you captured, can you give your website URL and
Sure,
if there's any other Facebook or YouTube or anything they can go to?
Just Facebook. I didn't really put too much stuff on YouTube because people like to steal it and say it's theirs and all that stuff.
Right.
And obviously, any private investigations, it's strictly between me and the homeowner and stuff like that. But on Facebook, it's CASPER. You can spell it out; it'll pop up. Also, I have paranormal meetups once a month. Usually, it's the third Monday of every month, except for July and August. I take the summer off. It's at the Clemson Brewery. There's always a link on the Facebook page for it. And we delve into all paranormal, Bigfoot, UFOs, any explainable things. I've had guests come all the way from Gettysburg. I've had them come down from Rhode Island, do demonology. I had Flip Serials come down from Generic Black Shirt Group. Just Chris Cesare, the ghost boy of Geneseo. Ron will be my speaker next week.
Next week. So I won't be here. Bill's taking me away next Monday.
Yeah, I'm taking him away next week. And then the following one is really interesting. I'm looking to see how he spells his name so I can pronounce it right. But in February, it's the end of February, the last Monday, I have Edward Ragasta is going to be coming down. He's an animal communicator.
Oh, nice.
So what's going to be really fun is anybody that signs up for it, please bring a picture of your pet, either alive or not, and you will get a free 10-minute reading. Which is
wow.
Yeah.
I may come back to that.
Everything. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. He said, "Yeah, I can do that. It won't take long." It's just, now I'm going to have people. Now I'll have a full house showing up.
Right.
Who's going to want to talk to their pet and everything?
It's going to look like Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it. You and I have history, so when you asked me to come up and do the ITC lecture for you, this month, I was honored. I was like, that'd be really cool to do it.
And I have the Michelle Lewis, Rosalind Lewis coming from Ghost Hunters. I even have Sharon Coyle coming all the way down from Rolling Hills Asylum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had her on 2 weeks ago with Sharon and George Lopez were on.
Yep.
She's a sweetheart. She really is. Yes. She's a good-hearted person.
She was awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I got a couple of thank yous to give. First, to all the audience that comes in every week and tonight to listen. We appreciate that sincerely. Without you guys, there would be no reason for us to be able to do this. So thank you. Second thank you is to KGRA for broadcasting this across the U.S. for us. And lastly, to Bill, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to
Appreciate the time.
Clips and share them with us. We greatly appreciate that. Was some excellent captures, and that was a lot of fun to go through.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah,
it was. That was great.
But wait, there's more.
You have tons more too.
What about the one, his favorite one, the production one clip or something?
We just played it.
Oh, that was it?
That was with the shadow figure. Yeah, moving.
Okay. I thought it was AVP. All right, so there is no more.
There is no more.
Too bad.
But thank you for the reminder, because I very easily could, because once I get to the bottom, I'm like, okay, that's it. But
no, I remember. Yep.
I thought it was an easy.
Yeah. We like to remind Tony after things happen.
Yeah.
like running him over and then honking the horn.
It's like a little bit of tease, a little bit more show. Yeah, psych. No, they're not.
So sort of like Cherie does to me. After it's all screwed up, then she's like, wait a minute. But anyway, that was great. Thank you for coming on, Bill. Chris,
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Chris, do you want to give a closing?
If you want to catch evidence of Teddy Ruxpin rolling a ball down a hallway with no batteries, you got to investigate with Bill, and you got to stay haunted. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.